So my name's Martha. I have to give my affiliation, like what political party? Or?
Well, if you work for a company that you want.
I'm on the board of IndyFringe.
Oh, there you go.
I wasn't planning on doing this today, but I'm here meeting Pauline, and so here you go. So when I thought about bicycling, I thought about a couple of things. First of all, I grew up in San Francisco, and I lived on a hill. And the way we cycled was we took the chain off a small two-wheeler, and you'd have someone posted at the bottom of the hill, and you'd start at the top, put your feet up on the handlebars, and then when there was no traffic, they'd give you a sign to go, and then you'd take off. At the point where you get to the bottom of the hill, you go up the next, you turn and go up the next hill, and you would just slow down. But the worst thing was when you got halfway down, and they're like, no. Which you couldn't do, so you had to like get in between cars and then go up the sidewalk. It was always an adventure. So that's one thought about childhood cycling. We didn't really cycle a whole lot in San Francisco. You kind of walked everywhere. But flash forward many years. I moved here in 1980, and back then there was free university. I don't know if it was university without walls. So you could take any number of classes, and you met in a church basement. So I took a class on how to repair your own bike. But I was really taking the class because I took it with the guy I was dating. So I was really more interested in him than learning about cycling. Except the teacher was really good looking and was flirting a lot with me. And I really liked him a lot, and he seemed to be paying a lot of attention to me. Flash forward, I broke up with the first guy and started going out with the second guy. But the only way I could go out with him was to go on bike rides every weekend, because he ran then a business which was called Historic and Architectural Bicycle Tours of Central Indiana. Does anyone ever remember? No one here? No. Way before its time, kind of like Vermont biking, you know what. So every weekend, the whole point was you went somewhere in Indiana that was historically or architecturally interesting. They ran a sag wagon, everyone would meet and park their cars at the area high school or the police station, and then spend the weekend cycling somewhere. We'd go to Oak Park, or we'd go to the Chautauqua in Madison, or go to, somewhere. Always generally around a festival, the Line Fest and the Swiss Weekend, whatever. So I had to go on these weekend trips, or else I never could see the guy, And so that was the way we dated. I learned very quickly I was not a cyclist. That it didn't matter how fast you went, you just could take all day to get there. But I was invariably all by myself. Nobody waits for you. Everybody's ahead, and you just got to get there when you get there. Anyway, we got married as cyclists and I. And as a matter of fact, we ended up buying the house across the street from the church, in the basement in which we first met. So we had many great rides on our bicycles. As a matter of fact, back in the 80s, we were the family that had a tandem and even had a stoker on the back so his daughter could ride with him and I rode single. And then when our son was born, we had Burley, so the dad and the daughter and the Burley, we were quite a sight back, as you can imagine, mid-80s, nobody was doing this. But let me back up a little. Our son was conceived on a bike trip. And that's the last story. We went to Ireland. And do you remember a group called Quest? Do you remember a group out of Butler? It was called Quest, and they took these bike trips. Well, the guy organizing the trip couldn't go at the last minute, and called my then husband and said, "Can you take this group of people?" So we went for 9 days to the west coast of Ireland. You think they're hills? Oh my God! These hills are so horrible. I mean, it's like doing, Floyd's Knob, like tenfold. And you don't even want to talk to anyone while you're trying to get up this hill. Like, don't talk to me. I'm like, But then you fly down the other side. But we're in, you're always wearing a poncho in Ireland, and you get airborne because you have the poncho, your panniers would come off, and like the front of it was really quite something. Well, we get into Dingle, the town of Dingle, I attribute it all to Smittix here. Because our son was conceived. We call him an FBI, foreign-born Irish. But, so, you know, I have really great fond memories of looking at my son and knowing that was, I can always tell when I see someone from that trip how long ago it was, because that's, you know, my son was now 25, so that was 24 years ago. But I'll tell you one little hilly story. I never did the hilly, never wanted to, too many people, whatever, but my husband used to do the hilly. And so I thought, well, what can I do? There was the hilly. So I had a girlfriend and I went down the hilly and they're out riding, and we pitched his tent, and I told him I kept his tent all set up for him, food and everything, and it was his birthday. And so my friend wrapped me in happy birthday tape. You know, it says happy birthday, happy, you know, like caution tape, except it says happy birthday. So, and I sat there, that's all I had on was wrapped all around me, waiting in the tent, you know, and you know, after the hilly, they like wake up, they party a little bit. I'm waiting, and I can't move because I'm in this happy birthday tape, and I can't really go anywhere, and she's already left. Anyway, it was a good surprise ultimately, but I was pretty annoyed and cramped and couldn't sit like this, wrapped up in the tape. But anyway, so those are my little funny, weird cycling stories. But cycling's been good to me.